Hey, what's up guys, it is Slick or Slick Mafia back again with another video, and I do apologize in advance. I have strep throat, so if I don't sound excited or anything, it's not because I'm not excited, I just feel kind of shitty. But let's get right into it. Rocksteady announced a new video game for the first time in 6 years. It's crazy to think about. Batman Arkham Knight was announced in 2014, it's now 2020, 6 years later, and we know what their next game is. Well, if you've been watching my channel, you've known what it is for quite a while now, but for the general public, they just learned that it is a Suicide Squad game. Not only that, the graphics that they announced confirm what we've heard about the game, which is it is Justice League versus the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League. This was a comic book run on DC Rebirth in 2017. There also was an animated movie about it. So the promotional graphic here shows Superman with a Suicide Squad target on his head, signifying that the Suicide Squad are targeting Superman and trying to take him down. I thought this was a nice sort of tongue-in-cheek allusion to the fact that they were supposed to be making a Suicide Squad game. That's what people wanted them to make, and I'm very excited to see this game. I personally am so thrilled with what they've announced. A Suicide Squad game in and of itself is not super cool, but then including Rocksteady's version of this, which is Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, where your boss fights are against the Justice League, and I just think about like playing as Harley Quinn, playing as Deadshot, playing as Killer Croc, and fighting against the Flash and Superman and Batman. It's just a way to invert what we had with the Batman Arkham games on its head. We're playing as the villains, and not only just playing as the villains taking out other villains, we're playing as the villains trying to take out our heroes. This will be the first time we really see, the Flash and Superman in a video game done in a way that we can sort of respect and value as high quality, which we will get from Rocksteady. We had DC Universe Online back in the day, which of course was a good game. I'm not disparaging that in any way, but this is just going to be on a whole other level to that. Now, rumors also suggest that it's going to have some Avengers Project type elements where it's going to be open world and you'll be able to play with friends. It's co-op, might be slightly games as a service type of thing, but I think that it's still going to have a robust single player. It's what we've come to expect out of Rocksteady. It is their bread and butter, and they would have not taken on this IP if it were not for a high-quality single-player story within the mix there. Not only that, we know by the pitch that they're building here, which is Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, the website of the game is even Suicide Squad KilledTheJusticeLeague.com, I think it is. That signifies once again that they have not just built a games as a service game where you play as Harley Quinn and you get loot and whatever, but it is rather a complex and complete story. And on top of that, if there are some multiplayer elements or games as a service elements thrown in there, that's totally fine. I think as long as we have that robust and complete single player story that we've come to expect from Rocksteady games and the Batman Arkham franchise, that'll be fantastic. Moreover, it is not clear if this is a tie-in to the Batman Arkham games. I hope that it is. I hope that we do get the Harley Quinn from the Batman Arkham games, and it would be so cool if this game takes place after the events of Batman Arkham Knight, wherein Harley Quinn actually talks about her experiences during the events of Arkham Knight, and especially Arkham City, her relationship with the Joker. But when she talks about the Joker, she's actually referring to Mark Hamill's Batman Arkham Joker. And you could even get Mark Hamill back and do some dialogue and do some flashback scenes. I'd like to see some flashback scenes to their relationship early on before the events of Batman Arkham Asylum in particular. And there are so many possibilities for Easter eggs and allusions to create this broader DC video games universe that I really do hope this is a follow-up to Batman Arkham Knight. I guess Batman isn't in this universe, so if we wanted to have a complete Suicide Squad, it would have to be between the events of City and Night, which would accomplish the same thing. You could still explore those same character beats, and in fact, it'd be even more fresh in Harley's mind. The Joker's death would be even more fresh in her mind if it took place between the events of Arkham City and Arkham Knight. It also would make sense because if you remember, after the events of Batman Arkham City and in the prequel comics to Batman Arkham Knight, Harley Quinn was the one to initiate this meeting between all the top villains, and she was there, Scarecrow was there, Two-Face, Penguin, all these characters were there. And during that meeting, they essentially agreed on a plan to take down the Batman, set aside their differences, which they failed to do in Arkham City. They were all fighting each other. And in Arkham Knight, they all, united together to take down Batman. Now, it didn't really work as a game because we saw that Two-Face and Penguin and these other characters were relegated to small side missions and were never really utilized in the game. So this whole promise of we're all banding together to take out Batman, that's not what we got in Arkham Knight. The reality is in Arkham Knight, Jason Todd and Scarecrow were the two main villains and all the other villains were side villains. It would have been actually very interesting if we got to see an interpretation of all of Batman's villains teaming up together to take out Batman. Even in Arkham Origins, we didn't get that because they were all competing amongst one another to kill Batman and get the $50 million. So there was no incentive to collude and work together there. Whereas in this case, obviously, Amanda Waller is forcing them to work together to take out the Justice League. Now, it's going to be great to see Amanda Waller in the game, and I'm curious to know who will be playing her as a voice actress, and moreover, the concept of the game. In other words, why does Amanda Waller want to take out the Justice League? What has brought her to this point? Because typically the Justice League has been associated with the federal government, and of course Amanda Waller is also associated with the government in sort of a secret branch of the government with Project Cadmus. So it's going to be interesting to see, why is she trying to kill Superman? Why is she trying to kill Batman? And they could follow the route of like Injustice, where these villains or these heroes are actually evil. Superman is actually evil, and that's why the Suicide Squad is trying to kill him, which would be a very interesting direction to go. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Injustice universe. I mean, I like going into that universe and kind of exploring in it, but it's not the main universe that I want to sort of sit in and enjoy and live in. I much prefer the mainstream DC canon, because I don't like Superman to be evil, this evil douchebag. I just not my thing. It's not what I like to see. It's an interesting take on the characters. It's just not my cup of tea. So for that reason, I would actually like if Superman and Batman are good guys. They're what we've come to know of the characters from the animated series, from the comics, and from, all that type of stuff. And that basically the Suicide Squad are tasked with taking them down. But as I said, Superman and Batman and these other characters are good guys. It would be kind of a cop-out, in my opinion, if this story is like, well, Superman's evil. I mean, it would still be interesting. It'd still be cool, but I'm much more interested in the Suicide Squad trying to take down Superman and Batman, and doing so because they're forced to. And they could even have this internal debate where it's like, well, I mean, I don't know, Superman has done a lot of good things for the world. He's not really a bad guy. We really hate Batman for whatever reason. They just hate Batman. But I don't really want to take out Superman. Or did Superman do something to them and they really hate him? I honestly have no idea, but I do like the idea of basically Amanda Waller saying, hey, you need to go kill Superman, and then the Suicide Squad being like, no, I mean, Superman, I mean, he's a good guy, so he's not really our cup of tea. We're villains. But at the same point, it's like, what did he do to us? I don't know. Now, Batman, once again, they would kill him in a heartbeat because they just hate him. But, that just is what it is. The other interesting thing about this is that the Suicide Squad is much, much depowered relative to the Justice League characters compared to someone like Superman, and even with this concept art and the box art and what they're going to show there. The Suicide Squad is no match for Superman, and every time in the comics when they have this battle, there's some way that they kind of explain it away, typically with kryptonite. So the point being is, I'm very curious to see how they phase this effort. How can they convince us that the Suicide Squad can actually defeat the Justice League, can defeat Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and will we actually see those characters in the main story? I really hope that we do. I hope that it is kind of a simple plot setup where it's basically Amanda Waller wants to kill the Justice League. You have to kill them one by one, and you have to go and have 7 individual boss fights with each of the 7 Justice League members. You hunt them down, you go to Atlantis, you go to all these corners of the DC universe, because that's one thing that we've never gotten in a DC video game, and that is one of the great benefits of having this games as a service model, because they have that incentive to build out additional worlds where you can actually play in Atlantis, you can play in Themyscira, you can play in Gotham, you can play in Metropolis, these other great areas. And typically, a video game is set in one area, it's set in Gotham City, it's set in Metropolis, what have you. And the great benefit of doing this game is that there are multiple environments that they can build out and build new characters, new environments, and allow this game to take place across many different areas as you're trying to take out the different members of the Justice League, perhaps when they're disassembled. Or you could have just one gigantic boss fight where it is the entire Justice League versus the Suicide Squad, which would be insane, obviously. Now, I am just going to give everyone fair warning. I have heard that this game is going to come out in late 2021, so this is still a little bit of a ways away, a little bit over a year. I think at DC Fandom we are going to see a trailer, and we're not going to see any gameplay, though. And I think that this game is still a bit of a ways out. It could be as early as summer of 2021, but it definitely is still a ways away. We're not getting it this year. Now, I also find it interesting that this game reveal happens before the new Batman game from WB Games Montreal. Now, that is likely going to be saved for DC Fandom in just a few days, and I'm not going to talk about that too much or speculate, because then this video will be irrelevant after that. But nonetheless, we're going to stay tuned and wait and see what they have in store for us at DC Fandom on August 22nd. Patrick Redding and Sefton Hill have both been confirmed to be attending, so both the sort of studio figureheads at both Rocksteady and WB Games Montreal are going to be on panels, and we're definitely going to be seeing that new Batman game from WB Games Montreal, and we're also going to be seeing a CGI trailer from Rocksteady. And of course, they would not have dropped this image online if we were not going to get a trailer. I could have seen them dropping the image on August 22nd at DC Fandom and then a trailer several months later, but we're going to be getting a trailer on August 22nd, which is very exciting. Okay, my throat is really starting to hurt, so I'm going to wrap this up here in a second. But it's not a competition, but I want to know in the comment section below which game you are looking forward to more, Rocksteady Suicide Squad or WB Games Montreal's new Batman game. And I will give my answer to this in just a second, but I wanted to explain that I think that both answer is very valid here because Rocksteady has a proven track record. They're great at what they do. They tell phenomenal single-player story games. They make great gameplay, and that's what I'm so excited about, is that Rocksteady is known for their gameplay. Between each of the Batman Arkham games, the gameplay improved drastically. From City to Asylum, we got many more abilities, gadgets, and other things on our tool belt, and then from Night to City, we got the Batmobile and other great gameplay aspects. So even though they had a bit of a misstep with the Bat Tank in particular, the Batmobile gameplay mechanics in particular were fantastic. Not only that, they invented the free flow combat system, which is now copied and ripped off by basically everyone in the industry. They are truly pioneers when it comes to gameplay, and I'm so excited to see what they do with these characters. And not only that, as I mentioned, they've been working on the game for 6 years. 6 years, and it might even be 7 by the time it gets published. That's a long time for a game. So yeah, if it's just a Suicide Squad game where they kind of, whatever, just throw it out there, that's one thing. But a game that is fleshed out by a studio as high quality as Rocksteady, that's going to be paralleling the new Suicide Squad movie coming out next year. I'm just incredibly excited to see what happens with the game. As for Batman, of course, it's Batman. It's a new Batman game, but it is a soft reboot of the Batman Arkham franchise, whereas Suicide Squad's Rocksteady game actually could be a continuation of the Batman Arkham universe, and you might actually feel more at home playing a Suicide Squad game, which is canon to the Batman Arkham universe, than you will feel in a rebooted WB Montreal Batman universe. So I think that while most people's gut reaction is to say that they're more excited for Batman, I'm very curious to see what you guys think of Rocksteady's Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, a Suicide Squad game where you are tasked with taking down the Justice League. I cannot wait to see and learn more about the game on DC Fandom on August 22nd. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and become a member for members-only bonus videos every single Sunday, and you'll get more videos just like this one that are only for members every single Sunday. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up. My name is SlickMom. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.